All right, all praise to Yahweh, in the name of the Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of the Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS for short, also known as the prophets of doom. All right, these are where I have learned this truth, and these are where I am still learning this truth, and also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. All right, so Lord willing, these next 3 videos or so, all right, will be about the beast, the beast, the image of the beast, and then the mark of the beast. All right, tonight's video is going to be on the beast. We're going to touch on a few points to explain what the beast is, and then subsequently the next video will be of the image, and then after that the mark. All right, Lord willing, it'll go in that order. There may be some videos in between. All right, but let's go ahead and start here in Revelation 13. Okay, because this kind of goes into all aspects of this. All right, so let's start here, Revelation 13:1, and the heading being the beast from the sea. Okay, it reads, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy." Okay, so let's start at the beginning again. "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rising up out of the sea." All right, this sea represents people. Let me see. See if I can find this verse here. All right, hold on a second. All right, give me a quick second. Before I do that, let me see. Peoples. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on a second. I'm trying to. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So again, oh man. Revelation 17:15. All right, give me a second. I apologize. So let's go here. Again, Revelation 13:1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. So if we go here to Revelation 17, Revelation 17 and okay, Revelation 17:5. It says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So this beast, though, all right, that rose up out of the sea, which are peoples, all right, is a rulership. All right, it is a dominion. It is a set of people that are in their dominion. So these beasts are likened to kingdoms. All right. So it reads, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And these 7 heads are Germanium Major, Germanium Minor, right? The French, the Spanish, the British, the Greeks, and the Romans, all right? And the 10 horns are vassal states. So let's go ahead and get this definition of vassal state. Vassal state meaning. All right, it reads, a vassal state is a political entity that, while possessing varying degrees of internal independence, is dominated by another state in its foreign affairs and often subject to the dominating state's control. So these 10 horns are vassal states. Okay, these 7 heads were 7 major kings of this beast. Okay, which is a rulership, a kingdom. Okay, a dominion. All right. So Revelation 13:2, it says, "And the beast which I saw." Oh man, hold on a second. I gotta go plug this uh, computer in. Just give me a quick second. As a matter of fact, I'll pause it. We'll be right back. All right. Anyway, got some more light, so it's not as dark too. But okay, so let me start at 1 again. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So these people, the system, okay, which are the 7 heads, 10 horns, all right, they all hold up this beast. They all make up this beast, okay? So it says upon his heads the names of blasphemy. So they speak against everything that has to do with the Almighty, all right? They use words like that pertain to like the scriptures, but it is to go against the scriptures. All it is to deceive the people, all right? But ultimately, their goal is to go against the scriptures and everything that the Lord stands for, all right? And the Lord is Yahweh, okay, which is the Almighty, the Most High God. Yah means He. Hawa is, I translate to is, okay, exist or to be. So He is, He exists, or He to be, okay? His son's name is Yahweh Shai. Again, Yah is He. Yahweh Shai is saves or delivers, or saves and delivers, all right? So He saves and delivers, okay? So and it's not just the names, okay? It's everything the names stand for, okay? So this beast system will go against not only Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, but everything that those names stand for, okay? They would have the people go into derision, confusion, right? Especially the Israelites, all right? They would work against everything that has to do with the Most High, all right? That is ultimately the blasphemy that is speaking, okay, while these people are in power. All right, so Revelation 13:2, it says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Okay, so it reads, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. All right, that is likened to the swiftness of the beast. All right, also it mentions like unto a leopard because of Alexander the Great. All right, which during that time period, it was the beginning of the Edomites getting into power. All right, they really took hold. Their power really took hold when it came to the Roman Empire. All right, they really sunk their teeth in and grabbed hold of the people. All right, the world. All right, the known world at that time. Okay, so let's see. They even have a saying over here where it says that the civilization started with the Greeks, but we all know that there were civilizations before the Greek Empire. So what does that mean, really? All right, this is where they say that this is where their empire started, their civilization, their ways. All right, like we said, when Alexander the Great and the Greeks took over, all right, this is where they started to come into power. All right, and their power took hold during the Roman Empire. All right, so let's get in this Apocrypha for a second. We go to First Maccabees, the first chapter. Because the scriptures are no fairy tale, all right? It's not just a storybook, okay? These things are very real. Anyway, this is First Maccabees, the first chapter, all right? This is the Apocrypha, where it speaks about our Greek captivity, okay? All right, how else would we learn about the Greek captivity if it wasn't for this Apocrypha? All right, so Maccabees, First Maccabees chapter 1, it says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chetam, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over the countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. All right, what does this next verse say here? So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died, and his servants bare rule, every one in his place. And after his death, they all put upon themselves, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Okay, this tells you that Edomites started to gain the earth. I have here the Good News translation also, so we can read that. Those same verses we just read there, we'll read right here in the Good News translation. Okay, and we read these translations not for confusion, but because of some of these translations can speak more clearly to some people. Okay, now all translations can go off, all right, even the King James, all right, but some of these you can read and they'll speak a lot more clear. So let's check this out. And again, this is the Good News translation of the scriptures, and it has the Apocrypha in it also. All right, built right in. Also in the King James 1611, it has the Apocrypha. Okay, so again, First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1, with the heading being Alexander the Great. Okay, it reads, "This history begins when Alexander the Great, son of Philip of Macedonia, marched from Macedonia and attacked Darius, king of Persia, in Media. Alexander enlarged the Greek Empire by defeating Darius and seizing his throne." Now, Alexander didn't directly kill Darius, but he did absolve that kingdom. He took it over when Darius died. Okay. It says he fought, speaking of Alexander, says he fought many battles, captured fortified cities, and put the kings of the region to death. As he advanced to the ends of the earth, he plundered many nations, and when he had conquered the world, he became proud and arrogant. Now, when it says he conquered the world, it was the known world at that time. Okay, the known world. It wasn't the entire compass of the earth, but it was the known world. All right. Verse 4, it says, "By building up a strong army, he dominated the whole nations and their rulers, and forced everyone to pay him taxes. When Alexander had been emperor for 12 years, he fell ill and realized that he was about to die. He called together his generals, noblemen who had been brought up with him since his early childhood, and he divided his empire, giving a part to each of them. After his death, the generals took control, and each had himself crowned king of his own territory. The descendants of these kings ruled for many generations and brought a great deal of misery on the world." Okay? So, back here in Revelation 13 and 2, it says, "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. All right. Alexander conquered the world pretty quickly. All right. And I think he even wore leopard battle gear. Let's ask and see what we can get from this. Okay. All I typed in was, did Alexander the Great wear leopard? Right, as in wear, put on. It says, yes, it is documented that Alexander the Great wore a helmet made of leopard skin on some coins. Specifically, the helmet features a horn, ear of a bull, and a youthful head, potentially referring to divinely inspired aspects of his image. All right. Let's see. Let's ask it another question real quick. Uh, uh, I'll tell you what, let's go to Daniel, 7th chapter, really quick. All right, Daniel, 7th chapter talks about this vision that Daniel got. This is before Alexander, okay? He got a vision of 4 empires that will rule the earth, okay? So, um, all right, I'm going to start up at 1, okay? And then when we get down to 6, you'll see. So, it reads, vision of the 4 beasts. Again, this is Daniel 7 and 1. It says, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven strove upon the great sea, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Okay? And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. Right, the first beast, right, was the what is it, Assyrian Babylonian Empire. The second one was the Medo-Persian Empire. All right. And the Medes in this day, all right, are the Russians because they have the land of the Medes. All right, but this one was the Medo-Persians. All right. Okay, so Daniel 7:5, and behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and had 3 ribs in its mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. Daniel 7:6, it says, After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. This is speaking of Alexander, right? And then in Alexander's absence, when he died, right, 4 of his generals, okay, took over. Okay, 4 of his generals took over. All right, dominion was given to it. So there were 4 beasts that were meant to reign. Okay, let's just read about this last beast. All right, Daniel 7:7 now. It says, After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth, or had a great military. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns, which is the beast that we're speaking of at the top of Revelation 13. Okay, all right. So when it says, and it stamped the residue with the feet of it, all right, it took over all the other empires before it. All right, it was diverse from all other beasts that were before it because this is when the Senate was taken over. Okay, and things went by election. Okay, other than, besides going by kings. All right, all the other beasts before it had kings. Okay, this one went by election and government. Okay, things like this. Daniel 7:8 says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. And this little horn is speaking of America. Okay, let me make sure really quick, because there's 2 chapters, okay, that speak of a little horn. The one in Daniel 8, okay, yeah, the one in Daniel 8 is speaking of Antiochus Epiphanes, okay, that ended up coming up and ruling after Alexander, okay. But in Daniel 7, that little horn is speaking of America, okay. All right, so now let's let me go down further in Daniel 7. All right, just to show you that these beasts are empires or kings. Daniel 7:17, it says, These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall rise out of the earth. Okay. All right, and then it goes on to describe Rome. I'll go ahead and read this. All right, Daniel 7:19. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast. All right, Alexander the Great and the Greeks were the 3rd beast. Okay, Rome was the 4th. All right, and the little horn, which is America, is still the Roman Empire. It was just healed. All right. So Daniel 7:19 again, then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, his nails of brass, which devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with his feet. All right, speaking of the Rome. And the 10 horns, and of the 10 horns that were in its head, and of the other which came up, okay, and of the other which came up, that little horn, okay, and before whom 3 fell, all right, French, Spanish, British, okay, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. This second leg of the Roman Empire, which we know as America, or America is the capital of the Edomite Empire. This is Babylon the Great, but it heads up the empire. All right, it heads up this dominion. It is the military head, all right, which makes this thing strong, which makes this head of the beast strong, this little horn. All right, so yes, this is a more stout than his fellows. All right, the military might is over here, and it still speaks against the Most High by telling lies on Yahweh. I mean, people over here think that the Messiah's name is Jesus, man. That's blasphemy. That's blaspheming the Lord's name. His name is Yahweh Shai, as we stated before. All right, and the Almighty's name is not God. It is Yahweh. All right, but when they tell you that they worship God, it is not the Lord of the Bible. It's not the God of the Bible. It is not the power of the Bible. Okay, he speaks and he acts against Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. All right. So let me jump down here again to Daniel 7:23. It says, thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And this is what's happening. Okay. Rome did it, and the similarities between Rome and America are damn near inseparable. Okay, this is the reincarnated Rome. This is the second leg of the Roman Empire. All right, Daniel 7:20 and 24, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue the 3 kings. All right, speaking of America, they took out the French, Spanish, and the British over here. Okay. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of time. All right. So now let's go to this. Let me see what this next chapter is. Vision of Give me a minute. All right, hold on a second. All right, give me a second here. Okay, hold on a second. All right, give me a second. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So let's all right, let me go here to Daniel chapter 2, starting at verse 31. It reads, the heading above it reads, the king's dream. All right. It says, thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. Hold on a quick second. Let me check this time. All right, yeah, I'm going to cut this right here, and then Lord willing, come right back. Okay, so this is just the beginning of speaking of the beast, all right, that we find here at the top of Revelation chapter 13. And then when we get down lower, we're going to be speaking of end time, all right, what beast is in the end time, okay? So I hope this come through as sincere and edifying. And with that, all praise to Yahweh. In the name of his son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, otherwise known as GMS, okay, also known as the prophets of doom. These are where I have learned this truth, and these are where I am still learning this truth. And also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. And Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video where we're going to continue with speaking about the king's dream, okay? And then Daniel's interpretation, so we can figure out, or so we can let you know and try to understand what these beasts are speaking of. All right, shalom.